CTV's Timm Bruch standing by live with more on this. Tim?
Well, Daryl, we're officially 100 days into Jason Kenney's time as Premier, and it's been a pretty busy stretch in between all of the bills tabled by the new government, the long late-night sessions here, and, of course, a couple controversies. You'd be forgiven for feeling like the UCP's been at work for a lot longer than that. Rain and cooler temperatures this weekend helped crews make a little bit of progress on that wildfire that's been threatening high level for weeks. And so today, with a wave in from officials, residents finally got to go home. Aaron, the Metro Line LRT sees approximately 35,000 riders every day, and chances are, if you ask some of those riders, many of them will tell you a story of some issues that the line's had over its 3-year history. We've been standing here under blue skies for about an hour, but just over the last 5 minutes, as you can see, some dark clouds, some strong winds, a little bit of rain, and thunder and lightning have started to come whipping in. A storm is definitely on the way, and with the grounds already being so saturated, a lot of people here in Stony Plain are worried that an actual third round of flooding could be on the way. As mentioned, this fire now ranks as one of the largest in the history of Alberta. It's almost half the size of the 2016 Fort McMurray fire. In fact, crews today admit that there's not a ton they can actually do to fight this wildfire. Instead, it's a matter of waiting out some of the flames. And they told residents even after they go home, they might have to be prepared to deal with smoke for a couple of months.
And as for the residents of High Level, obviously the roadblocks are still up just at the city limits. They're trying to get the town ready for people to come back. But is there any word on what timeline there will be as to when people can go home in High Level?
Not yet, no. The last update that we heard was that people could be returning back to their homes this weekend, but we're hearing from some residents today that those dates have been pushed back. We reached out to the town of High Level for confirmation one way or the other, but so far no one's gotten back to us. Residents say they believe the majority of collisions at this intersection involve vehicles turning left, either headed north to Millet and Beaumont or south to Wetaskiwin City Centre and the hospital. When asked about that budget today, the Premier remains coy about what it could include, but many, including the opposition, are expecting major cuts across the public sector. The opposition NDP saying today that they expect healthcare and education will take big hits. It's the message many in Yellowhead County were waiting for.
The last 24 hours has been really positive for us.
As water levels drop, flooding lines are visible behind rusted fences, and these pockets of water are slowly making their way to streams and rivers and then heading out of the county.
Currently the lake is very high, but the lake is handling the water that's coming into it.
So as water leaves roads and dozens of residents have a chance to finally get out of their homes, some are finally getting access in and assessing the damage.
So the first thing we had to do was squeeze through the gate and move all the wood out of the way.
This summer house was one of multiple buildings that was flooded. In the kitchen and living room, water reached up to 4 feet. In the front yard, it was even worse.
You can see the deck had actually disconnected from the rest of the deck. My husband's been coming out to this area since he was 4 years old. So it's been in the family a long time, and we have to decide, is it worth putting all the work into repairing it and bringing it back to life?
Most of the flooding happened in an area about 5 kilometers northwest of Knighton Junction. Many summer homes and farms run along the Lobstick River, which has had higher than usual water levels for weeks. The signs showing off businesses in downtown Stony Plain are still up. In fact, they never left. But these days, you might have to crane your neck to see what they're advertising.
We're completely surrounded from all directions.
Surrounded by this, roadwork and large-scale downtown redevelopments. Major construction that's causing major problems for businesses. Since June, 2 blocks of 50th Street have been closed as crews upgrade one of the town's most used strips. It's taken away front door access, parking, and sidewalk space.
We have lost almost 60% of our business. Because we are a convenience-based business, if there's no parking, people don't want to come.
This liquor store is one of the businesses that's taken a hit. Across the way,
we're down in sales about 40 to 50%. So it is quite frustrating, honestly, at this point.
Fewer slices are being served and frustrations are mounting.
A lot of our customers don't know that we're even open at this point.
In total, more than a dozen businesses have been financially affected, many now putting out signs and running summer promos to attract customers.
I had to reduce my staff. I have had to be here pretty much 7 days a week. My husband had to go away to work.
Now, construction is slated to be done by the end of October, but many of the businesses I spoke with say they're not optimistic about that timeline. In fact, they believe the construction is already behind schedule.